You're listening to the Chain Clankers podcast with your hosts, Quentin Ferris and Horatio Gonzalez. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers. Welcome in, everyone, to the Chain Clankers podcast. I'm your host, Q. We got a great episode for you guys today. On today's episode, we are going to be doing a little bit of an end of the year recap. This is our final show before 2021 is here. So we're going to talk about our 2020 year, and then we're going to talk a little bit about 2021. You're going to want to make sure you stay tuned through the end. We are going to be giving you our number one tip each for kind of getting over that beginner's plateau. You know, we definitely really took the game seriously this year and really got into it, and you really, do really good. You improve really fast, and then you kind of hit a wall. And today we're going to try to help you guys get through that wall, continue to get better, continue to go on your climb and improve your disc golf game. Let's go ahead. Let's bring in our co-host today. Let's bring in Horatio. Horatio, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this one. Kind of just have a conversation with you. We're not really interviewing anyone today. We're kind of just interviewing each other, kind of getting in our own brain, seeing what we've learned this season, what we enjoy doing, and kind of our plans for next year and what we would like to do. I'm excited for next year. I'm already ready for winter to be over. It's been a nice winter, but, man, when it's summer and it's 90, 100 degrees, I can be out there all day, so.
Yeah, we have been very fortunate so far this winter to not have any snowfall yet. Eventually it is going to come. We've had a little bit of rain and stuff like that, but it really has not been that cold. I mean, heck, yesterday it was 60 degrees in December. I mean, that just does not happen normally here in the middle of Kansas. So very thankful for that nonetheless. I low-key came to a conclusion last night that fall disc golf might be better than summer disc golf because I'm not dripping sweat afterwards. It's not that big of a deal, but it really wasn't that bad. I kind of was into it.
Fall disc golf is
that fall
amazing.
Disc golf is very good. I'm interested to see kind of what that spring disc golf will bring. But yeah, very excited for it nonetheless. Hopefully you guys are subscribed over on YouTube, youtube.com at Chain Clankers. We are going to be dropping our In the Bag episodes coming up over there. We're going to be doing our putters and mids on Thursday. Let me just make sure I've got this date correct. Thursday the 31st, so New Year's Eve, we are going to be dropping that episode. And then on the 7th of January, we're going to be dropping our drivers and fairway drivers for our In the Bag. It was going to be a really long episode. Like, it was going to be like 50 minutes. So we didn't really want to, have it all be in one. We thought breaking it up might be a little bit better and give a little bit more content also. So yeah, definitely subscribe over there if you guys have not already. And if you aren't aware what we're doing with our YouTube, we're going to be doing every Thursday on the first week and the last week for sure. We're going to do an extra video. When these mystery boxes come in, we planned to only get one, but somehow we both ended up with one of those Discmania tilt mystery boxes. So when those puppies get in, we're going to be doing an unboxing of it, as well as we're going to be doing a pretty in-depth tilt review of that new disc from Simon. So definitely you're going to want to subscribe for both of those videos. They're going to be coming out in January as well. I'm very excited for 2021.
Yeah, and there's going to be way too many discs in there. I didn't mean to get that second. We were just going to kind of get one mystery box and split it. And we both got one. We're like, damn, what are we going to do with all these discs? So there's probably going to be a giveaway there, I'm betting. Yeah, we'll find something in there, giveaway.
That's true. Definitely, you're going to want to watch the YouTube video to be entered into that giveaway. It's going to be a really good video. But yeah, that's pretty much what we kind of got coming up. We've definitely got some really fun interviews in the works right now. I don't want to spoil them just yet. So if you haven't, hit that subscribe button to the Chain Clankers podcast. Drop us a rating and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. We do highly appreciate those, and it helps us as well. We love to hear that feedback. We really do appreciate, for those of you that have been listening or are new to the show and you've been leaving some feedback over on Instagram. We really do appreciate it. We see every comment. We want to respond to every comment, every single DM. So if you ever want to talk to us, you can comment, DM us. We'll always respond. And we really do appreciate the kind words that we've been getting over there and the feedback. So yeah, that's really awesome. But let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We really didn't do a whole lot of that in our last episode, but let us be the last to wish you that. And hopefully a very good 2021, hopefully a very good disc golf 2021, and we can get back to a little bit of normalcy there. I'm super excited for it. But Horatio, let's kind of kick this episode off here with, how did we start in disc golf? Because looking back at it, we have been playing since maybe March or so.
Mm.
But the podcast has really only been around since August. I think I can't remember what it is. I'll try to look it up real quick, but I want to say our first episode was like the first week of August. It was, yeah, August 3rd was our first episode. And here we are in January almost. I mean, we've been doing this for quite a bit. So let's kind of get back to that starting place. How did we get into disc golf and kind of get into this?
I mean, yeah, like I'm sure, like a lot of other people, we said it before on the episode on the show, we got into it because coronavirus.
The
Everything was
virus.
locked down. We didn't have anything to do, so we went out and played. It was one of the very few things we could do. And then so as we started playing a lot, I started getting addicted to like the sport, like a lot of people do. Just chatting between ourselves, we were kind of like, I know we looked up like podcasts or just wanting to learn more. We wanted to learn more, and I mean, you can't be in your car or at work watching YouTube videos about disc golf. So we're like, we want podcasts. That way we can listen to it. We're in the car or just sitting at work, doing something else, have it in the background. And there wasn't a whole lot that really, caught my attention. There was some, but they were very pro focused, very statistics, very following people on tour, like exactly what they're doing, which is very interesting. And if you've been in the game for a long time and you've been watching, and that's real, that's good, that's what you want. But we wanted something that was more for a lot of the new players, a lot of players like us. We wanted to kind of bring those pros down to our level, learn from them, see what they were doing and what they did early on to help them grow, and in return help us grow and get better players. And that's kind of what our goal was, and I feel like that's kind of what we've done. We've brought on some amazing guests who have taught us a bunch, and hopefully our listeners have learned from, and that's kind of motivated us to get better, to want to play better. I know sometimes we'll interview someone and the next day I'll go out and play, and something that they talked about, I'll kind of try to put it into action during my round and see if it works. And a lot of times it has. I know I've learned a bunch from it, but that's kind of how this whole thing started, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, just going back to August, I do want to give a quick shout out to Logan Harpool, who we interviewed on August 17th. We interviewed Thomas Gilbert on August 24th, Christine Jennings on August 31st, Disc Golf Strong, Seth Muncie, we interviewed him on, let's see here, that would have been September 7th. We talked to Kat Murch on September 14th. We talked to Casey White on October 5th. We talked to, let's see here, the USDGC champion, Chris Dickerson, on November 23rd. We also talked to Chris Clemens on November 9th. And then we talked to Ezra Adderhold on the November 30th. And then Jordan Castro on December 7th. So thank you to all of you guys that have come on our show. We really do appreciate it, and appreciate you giving us a opportunity. So yeah, we do appreciate that. We've got some really awesome guests lined up in 2021, or at least some guests we're trying to work with. And hopefully as we continue to grow, we can continue to get a little bit more feedback from some of those guys and gals on tour, and they will want to hop on the show as well. But yeah, we really started this thing during the coronavirus. Instead of being able to go out for my birthday, we ended up going playing disc golf and really got back into it, was able to get you guys into it. And so yeah, it was really good, really glad that it happened. I imagine a lot of you out there got into disc golf in 2020, and 2021, you're super excited, we're super excited. The tournament schedule is a little bit wacky this last season, but that kind of makes me want to talk about our tournament and our tournament performance. Horatio, let's talk a little bit about that. How long would you say we were playing until we kind of started to do tournaments? Because I know we
Too soon.
initially decided we were going to do a tournament in August, but
Yeah.
then some things changed.
Yeah, I would say it was maybe too soon. I don't regret it. We wanted to, I don't know what it was about wanting to do a tournament. Like we knew we weren't good yet. Um, I think it was just kind of like that competition, we play to compete. I mean, disc golf is fun, but it's fun because you get better and you want to be better than
I
you
love
were the day
winning.
before. And we love winning. And that's kind of what intrigued us about the tournaments. And there was so many like locally, and we're like, oh, cool. Like we play these courses, we can do tournaments here. And it was also kind of like an excuse for us. So Quentin is about 2 hours from where I am right now. And then, so when we started playing, it was nice weather. We were traveling back and forth kind of just to play. And then
And
tournaments is
not to
kind of like a
interrupt you,
reason.
but hell, there was a quick stretch where it was every other weekend or literally every weekend or something like that for at least a month and a half, 2 months, making that 2 hour
Yeah.
drive.
And we would use the excuse because my wife's sister is Quinn's girlfriend. So we would be like, hey, we should go visit, we should visit your sister, go see what they're doing. And they'd be like, yeah, they want to see each other. They don't get to see each other as much as they used to.
Yeah.
And we'd go up there and be like, well, we're
I
here.
guess
We
we
might as well
better
play some
clang.
disco. And I think they caught on, and it got kind of to the point to where it was like, we're going, but we're not going to play disc golf, or it's like, no, I don't want to go. We're just going to play
Yeah.
disc golf.
Yeah.
But so there was kind of that, and you did some tournaments on here. I did some tournaments up in Manhattan. We had the one where you came down, wrecked total your truck. That was
Yeah.
a
That
whole
was
ordeal.
the worst day of my life.
Um, but yeah, and I would say I think it was a month or so before we did our first tournament, probably. But
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah. About a month.
month or so. But we were playing. I know for me at least, I was playing every single day.
Yeah.
I was playing twice a day sometimes. It was in the middle of spring, summer, so I could be out there until 9 p.m. So I was getting quite of hours in. And we didn't do great. Whatever we would normally play in those courses just by ourselves, take another 10, 12 strokes to the
Mm-hmm.
score, and that's what we were getting at the tournaments. And it's just those nerves, and then you're playing with strangers, and you're also wanting to do good, so you have a lot of expectations for yourself. So you don't focus on what you need to focus, which is your technique and your form, and you focus on other things. And we normally would come really upset out of those tournaments. I don't think there was one where we were like, "Wow, that was a good
There was
time."
one. There was a single
Uh,
tournament where I felt that way.
yeah,
That was oh gosh, I want to say it was the Aces for Ace at Jones West in Emporia. Um,
yeah,
that
sounds,
one I should, if I would have played up a division, I would have won that division.
yeah,
But instead, I played down in rec and didn't even place.
yeah,
So I felt good about that. I think the entire tournament I finished at like +2 or 1 or something like that.
yeah. That tournament was fun. It was hot,
It was very hot, very hot. But
but
it goes to show that, we definitely got into tournaments very, very quickly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think you have to really temper your expectations.
yeah,
At least myself, I went into that first tournament really being like, wow, I'm playing in rec. I'm going to crush these kids. Like, I know I'm better than this. And I very quickly realized that tournament disc golf is not the same as just vibing disc golf, right?
yeah,
And so there's the only way to get better at that, in my opinion, that I've kind of started to realize is putting yourself in those situations. The more time you're in those situations, the less nerves you're going to feel and the better that you are going to play. I mean, literally yesterday when we went out and played, I probably had like a 30 to 40 footer somewhere in there, and I had three guys just watching me about to probably make or miss this putt. Well, I mean, those are the only two options. So one or the other. And if you would have taken me 4 months ago, I probably would have been shaking in my boots and definitely wouldn't have even come close to it because of those nerves. But because we played in tournaments and kind of got used to a little bit of that pressure, I was able to absolutely cash that thing in. And so that felt really good. And it's one of those things that, you, like I said, you really got to put yourself in that situation. You have
yeah,
to play for some sort of pressure. Even when we did those YouTube videos, one, unfortunately, we had to scrap because the wind was just so bad. I was not going to make you guys listen to that wind. But the little skins match we did at Baby Tuttle, like that is a perfect example of putting yourself in pressure situations. You could literally
yeah,
do a match play with your buddies for who buys lunch afterwards or something like that, or anything like that. Maybe you've got too many discs and you put a disc on the line, maybe $1, whatever it is. Anything you can do to put pressure on your round is going to improve your scores and is going to improve your play in tournaments. And it might not feel like that at first because your scores might be higher than what you normally shoot. For example, we went and practiced. I think you and I went twice, but I probably went like 3 or 4 times to the lake course out here in Manhattan at
Mm-hmm.
Tuttle Lake. There's a tournament there. I probably practiced that thing like 4 times, something like that. Never got worse than a +6. And then in my first round, I finished +11 because of those tournament nerves. Something happened, and I, got out of my headspace. And it's one of those things where you can only get better by putting yourself in that situation over and over again. So I think that's kind of the draw towards tournaments. Also, that competitive nature. I'm very competitive. I'm very excited for the 2021 tournaments. But yeah, it's one of those things where we definitely scored higher than we would have liked to, but you kind of have to go through that phase in order to start getting those lower scores, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
you learn a ton. I definitely don't regret playing those. I think those pushed our game, forward a couple of months at least, just from what you learn from playing in tournaments. The players that you're playing with, even if you're playing in rec, you'll play with some guys that have been playing for a long time. I know, like here, Wichita, some of these leagues are pretty competitive. You'll play in rec, but you'll play with guys that are really good. There's like a bunch of guys in pro, so everyone's kind of having to play down. So even if you play those, don't be afraid to play in those lower leagues. If you've been playing, for a year or so, you haven't played tournaments, play in those rec leagues. You'll be fine. You'll still get your butt kicked, or you'll do really well. And if you do really well, then you can move up. But you can learn something from anyone you play with. Just talking different discs, talking different ideas, different lines. You're like, wow, I've never seen that line before. But yeah, I definitely learned a ton from playing those tournaments. I know I'll probably want to be more picky about the tournaments that I do next year. They're definitely expensive. I might want to kind of have some kind of a budget also. I mean, because as a rec player, as a non-pro, you're not playing for money, so you get a player's pack. I mean, and you'll get some cool stuff. You'll get some discs, but I don't really, to the point kind of where I really don't need any more discs. It's nice getting discs, but if I want a specific disc or something, I can kind of just go buy it. So I guess to play tournaments next year would be for certain courses that I enjoy, that I know that I can play my game on, or courses or tournaments where there's a lot of people. It's a big tournament. Big tournaments are a lot of fun. So I'll probably be more picky in that next year, and I definitely want to do 1 or 2 out of state, go somewhere cool, make a little weekend trip out of it, and go do a tournament. Maybe if, depending on how this next year is, maybe we go and do something on the pro tour. And we don't even have to play on it, maybe just go check it out and just see how those guys play.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah, talking about 2021 tournaments, I definitely would like to get in at least 5 to 10.
5 to
Just
10.
5 to 10, maybe more. We'll see what happens, but definitely 5 to 10 for sure. It's just going to depend on where they're at and when they're happening. A lot's going to be changing in my life this year. So it's really just going to be dependent on where they're at and if they're going to be dummy expensive. Tournaments that are $50 for 2 rounds is not going to be worth it to me most of the time, unless I really absolutely want to play that tournament or it's going to be a tester or something like that. So yeah, definitely going to be a little bit smarter about that, but I definitely think 5 to 10 is a pretty good goal for me. Maybe the DDO might be that kind of big one that I think I might want to try to get to, or like you said, maybe be able to go out of state and play one or watch one or something like that. That would be pretty cool as well. But it's one of those things where especially through our show, and I don't want this to just be a toot our own horn episode, but through our show and through these interviews, I have improved so much. Like literally going back and playing these courses that I did 6 months ago and just seeing the 10 stroke differences and stuff like that and being like, how the heck was I getting this in 4? And what's really, really neat is the fact that I'm seeing that in my girlfriend as well right now. Like there was a 550-foot hole that would take like 8 throws, and she got it in 4 the other day. And I was like, are you absolutely kidding me? Like, that is incredible. So it's one of those things, really seeing that progression is really fun. I really think the tournaments in 2020 are really going to help out with that. So I'm super excited for that. And I really do think that that 5 to 10 range is going to be pretty good. I definitely would like to play another one in Lawrence. Any here locally, I'll probably try to do. And definitely in Wichita, I'll play a couple for sure. But yeah, definitely gonna, I would love. I think my number one goal is to at least place in a couple of them.
Yeah.
Start. Who knows? Maybe pick up a W here and there. But definitely, my goal is definitely be top 5 consistent and just continue on that path. I definitely think that's something that is obtainable for both of us.
Yeah. Which that's kind of tough because you'll play, like, depending on tournament to tournament, you'll get like a rec, even advanced MA3 or whatever, which is the next one after rec. Um,
I think that's
it's not
MA2. I think Rec is MA2.
MA, right. So MA2, but they're inconsistent,
Oh yeah. Oh
Tournaments,
yeah.
like we would play one in Lawrence and it would be like, okay, everyone in rec that we're playing with is pretty similar. We're all shooting about the same. No one's great. People are getting bogeys here and there. No one's like,
And then there's
everyone's
that
playing
one
rec.
guy who's like 4 under.
Yeah, and then we'd play another tournament, and then there'd be like a few guys playing, and they're getting like birdies every other few holes, and it's like it would be inconsistent. So
Yeah.
it's tough, like that goal, like being top 5. That's good, I think, but it's tough just because how inconsistent they are. I guess. I
Yeah.
guess it's easier to be more of like I want to be, I don't know, shooting par under par. I think
Yeah.
that's a good measure for
Yeah.
playing
Setting
tournament.
a score instead of a finish.
Because usually, you'll go play a tournament or something, and people will talk. They'll be like, if someone can shoot 6 under, they're gonna win it. Like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a league night. That's kind of how it is. That's the thing I'll probably do. Like I won't do as many tournaments, but last year I did a lot of league night. Those are fun. And if you don't want to pay money for tournaments and you want to be in that tournament atmosphere, I would definitely recommend finding your local leagues and seeing when they play, especially like in the spring and summer. That I bet you they're going. I know we have one here every single day, and then 2 of them are like doubles, and those are kind of the similar atmosphere. It's more casual. It's less stressful, but you're still playing for score. You're playing like tournament rules, and those are fun. But kind of league night, that's how it'll be. It'll be if someone can shoot 5 or 6 under, they're gonna win. That's what's gonna take it to win. Or 8, 10 under, that's gonna take the money. So
Yeah, I'm excited for those league nights. Definitely excited to get into Wichita and playing some of those league nights. Who knows? Maybe we'll be doubles partners sometime, or we'll have to face off against each other. I don't know, something like that. So that'll be pretty fun. But yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking for 2021 tournaments. Let's kind of talk a little bit about what we want to do in 2021 as well. Maybe with the podcast and the brand, as well as with our own personal games. Rachel, what do you got?
2021, I know we want to do. Hopefully, we'll have more time to play. You'll be here. We'll be playing a lot more together, playing more courses. It'll be a lot easier for us to get content. Make YouTube videos. That skins match we did, that one was fun. And doing more of that stuff, more YouTube videos. Definitely playing different courses. Just going out. I want to check out different courses. I've gotten. And it's kind of been because daylight savings and then just wanting to practice as much as possible. But I've gotten in the habit of playing like the same 1 or 2 courses constantly. So I'd like to play different courses. Like here in Wichita and surrounding area, there's a ton. Like there's so many courses. Even if you travel hour and a half, Emporia has so many courses.
I
Just a
think
bunch of
Emporia
these
has
little
like
towns.
7.
They have so many.
I mean, hell, Manhattan has at least 5.
Yeah. So I just want to play more courses, and I think that challenges you. It helps you learn because you get in the habits. Uh, I could go play the course here that's like 2 minutes from my house, which is I play a lot, and I'll know exactly like what to throw, how to throw it, to do well. And when I want to practice and I go by myself or whatever, I'll do different shots. I'll throw a sidearm. I'll throw a different disc to challenge me to try to learn how to play it differently. But when you go play brand new courses, it's, clean sheet. You don't know what to do. and you kind of have to figure it out. And it's a real tester of whether you know your discs and you know your throws. So I want to do more of that in 2021. And as far as like the podcast, I'm excited to see how many, what other guests we can get on. And definitely if you follow us on Instagram, tag players that you would like to see, and we can reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in doing it, who you guys would want to listen from. Um,
Yeah,
I yeah,
that's a really good shout. Yeah, definitely. If there's a player you want to potentially see us try to interview, I mean, we'll let us know. We'll definitely try to reach out. Hopefully, they'll give us a shout back. I do think for the most part, the disc golf community is pretty good. So yeah, definitely do that. If you're not following us on Instagram already, you definitely should at Chain Clankers.
yeah. But I mean, that's as far as I think as far as me, as far as my playing for 2021. My distance is improving slowly. I'm kind of learning. I've kind of gotten my discs down. My form needs a little bit more work. My sidearm, I'm starting to get that kind of down, but just being more consistent. I just want to be overall more consistent, and that's just going to take time and practice. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you're practicing with bad habits, that's not going to help you. So definitely continuing to learn, continuing to record ourselves. It's been a while since I recorded myself to see because I've been playing good. So I've been, I'm doing decent. So I haven't recorded myself to see what I'm doing wrong, but you can always do better. So I need to, maybe these next couple of days, I'll record myself, see how I'm doing. Because right now I'm throwing consistently, distance wise, if I want to, 350. So I want to see my form and what I can tweak and get me to that 400. Because if I can be throwing 400 consistently, then a lot of these courses, I mean, there's one we played yesterday, and the longest one was, I think, 370. So if you can throw 400 consistently, you're going to be birdieing, as long as then you can focus on your accuracy. You have the power of the distance, and you can be picking up a ton of birdies. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you?
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely trying to get as many cool guests as we can on the podcast. Definitely, like I said, let us know anyone you potentially want us to see have on the podcast. And definitely, once the summer hits, I imagine we'll switch up our YouTube schedule again. I know I'll definitely have a lot more time. So we might go from, the first and last Thursday to maybe every other Thursday or maybe every Thursday or something like that, and just kind of change up that YouTube schedule and get more content out there. We'll be able to get a lot more content out there. So super excited for that. If you haven't, definitely hit that subscribe button, guys. And again, we really do appreciate it. We appreciate everyone. We want to do some more giveaways. I definitely think when we hit 1,000 Instagram followers, we're going to do another giveaway. Probably do a giveaway from this mystery box, a couple of discs from it. So definitely looking forward to all of that. I really think that, we've got a little good community here. We do appreciate you guys. We really do think that everyone hopefully is getting some value out of this. That's the number one goal, is get some value out of this and get better. I've seen my game improve literally so much from talking to these guys, and hopefully you guys have as well, just by hearing this podcast. And that kind of brings me into our last little segment before we get out of here, and one that's pretty important, that you guys obviously care about disc golf. You want to get better about disc golf. That's why you're here right now. You're listening to this podcast because you want to improve. And here's our number one tip for improving in this episode. We're going to talk about our number one tip to kind of get over that beginner's plateau, and kind of, because we mentioned it a little bit with our Jordan Castro episode, that, players will, when they first get into it, they'll get really, really good, or they'll improve significantly faster in the beginning than they will a couple months later, 6 months later, whatever it is. We've definitely hit that. So we've got 2 tips, one each, for how to get over that hump, get over that plateau, and continue your growth. Horatio, why don't you give us your number one tip?
Mine is going to be pretty cliche, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing it, but it's just going to be putt, putt, putt. I think there's a lot of good players who will figure out, who have natural throwing speed, or they'll get the form down, or they'll get a disc they're good with. And let's say a course. Everyone has a course that's one of those that's like the short tee pads, and they're 290 to 370 average holes. They're par threes. They're not super difficult, and you can go there and have fun. One of those courses. And someone that's been playing for a few months or a year, you can do well there if you've gotten your form down. You can throw. Um, you can put yourself in a position to par, or maybe every once in a while get a birdie. But what I'll see is a lot of the times players, new players, they they can't putt. They kind of throw it away in the putt. Even if you're at like 10 feet or in there pretty close, and they just have not put in the time to get their putt down to seal that birdie or seal that par. And that's kind of where you'll see a lot of players' games go down. It's just in the putt. And obviously, always you can always be working on your drive and being better at that. But the putting, I think it's crucial to set you from, especially if you've been playing. Let's say you've been playing tournaments, you've been playing in rec, and you want to move up to the next level, next division, and you want to be able to compete with those guys. I guarantee you, your putting will put you in content to compete with those guys, because you can have a phenomenal drive, phenomenal approach shot, and if you can't putt, you're going to get a bogey, and bogeys is going to kill you anytime. But if you can make those putts, and even if you can, one of those courses I'm talking about, if you can par, which isn't sexy, parring every hole. If you can par every single hole, I guarantee you will win in a tournament in rec league. We
Oh,
saw it.
1000%.
We saw it this year. The guys that would win it, they would be +3, +5. So if you can par, if you can play for par, and those courses are about that, they're par threes, 350 or so, and you can drive at least 300 or 250. If you can drive 250, I know a lot of people are in that range where they're struggling to get to 300. They're like, how can I drive farther? If you can drive 250 and then approach shot another 100, you can make that par. But then if you make those putts, it's not going to matter. So I would say you don't need to. Baskets are expensive. The cheapest ones are like $120. If you can't buy one, when you go out to practice by yourself, if you go, definitely don't do this if the park is busy. But if you don't even need 6 putters. If you have 2 or 3, or 1 or 2, when you're playing a practice round by yourself or with your buddies, from wherever your drive shot, even if you missed it, take a few minutes on that hole and throw 10, 15 putts before you move on to the next one. Like I said, don't hold people up. I'll do this when the course is empty. I'll go there by myself. The course is empty. I'll shoot the drive. I'll shoot my approach shot. And then whether I miss or make the putt, I'll stand there and I'll re-putt it, 10, 15 times. And I'll do that every single hole. And by the end of the game, you're getting, man, I don't know, at least 100 putts in. And so it doesn't take that much extra time in your round. You're getting a lot of putts in, because otherwise you're getting 18 putts total in a practice round, So as opposed to drives and approach shots where you're driving, you're getting a lot more practice in with those than your putts. So that's my number one tip if you want to get better. If you want to knock your scores down, is doing a lot more putting, figuring out your putt, and then figuring out a good form for your putt. We talk a lot about form for driving, but you can't just putt just what feels. It should feel natural to you, but there's also a technique and a form to it. You should record yourself putting and see what you can fix, what you're doing wrong, and just look those up on YouTube. There's some great putting videos on YouTube. I
We
know
should put a
that's where I've
putting
learned a
video
bunch.
out on YouTube.
I don't know if my putting's good enough for that, but
Ah, we can do one. We can do one. Let us know. Let us know if you want us to do one. No, I agree. I think that's a really, really good tip. I also believe that most courses I want to say have a practice basket of some sort.
yeah,
So literally, if the course is busy, just go to the practice basket
yeah,
and go practice before or after your round, whatever it is. I know I got my basket for like $100 off of Amazon. So if that's probably about the cheapest one you're going to be able to find. So yeah, putting is very important. I really need to improve my putting right now. I just feel like I've got absolutely no confidence with it right now. So I got to figure that out, and I will figure that out. But if I have to give my number one tip to kind of get over that hump, it's you got to love the sport. I mean, you really have to enjoy the way the discs fly. You have to want to be in the field. You have to want to do field work. Because without that, for me, it's hard to envision really getting over that hump. You know what I'm saying? Every time I get a new disc, or, it'll be a couple days, I'm like, I want to go out to the field. Sometimes I want to go out to the field more than I want to go out to the course, because I
Yeah.
want to be able to throw these discs multiple times, see what they're doing, see new distances, those kinds of things. So you really, really want to go out to the field. That is super, super critical, because you can go out and do field work or whatever for 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. But if you don't want to be out there, if you're not adding value to it, then why are you out there? Why are you just wasting your time? Don't be out there for an hour just, kind of wasting your time and doing it, halfway, when you could be out there for 20 minutes, go really hard and get the same amount of value out of it. Or, go hard for the hour and get the value out of it. Going out there, learning how your discs fly, that's so, so critical. If you don't know what your disc is going to do in every situation, or most situations, how are you going to trust it, and how are you going to have the confidence to throw that shot? You're not. It's as simple as that. So that's something that I've definitely noticed, especially over the last month, changing my grip and going out to the field and wanting to throw. And the way that I'll do my field work is I'll start with 3 or 4 sets of like 3 putters, and I'll kind of throw those just to kind of warm up, and then I'll take a select group of discs that I want to work on, and I will throw those, 4 discs. I'll do like 5 to 7 sets or something like that, and I'll make sure I'm tracking my distance. I'll be seeing how accurate they are. I'm taking mental notes. I'm recording myself doing those kinds of things. And I really do think that that is my number one tip I can give you for getting over that plateau, getting over that beginner's kind of hump of, well, I got really good, or I got pretty dang good, and I just can't seem to get better. Learn your bag. Learn to want to do field work. Do field work. Field work is so dang important. You got to put that time in the field to get better in practice. My approach shot was arguably the weakest part of my game, and now I would almost argue it's one of the best parts of my game, because of field work, because of learning my discs, those kinds of things. So learning those things are so dang important if you want to continue to get better. You can trust your throws. You know what a disc is going to do. There'd be times where I'd throw a disc and it would go off to the right, and I'd be like, oh my God, that's going to be a terrible shot. And now I'm just absolutely chilling, because I know it's going to come back and I know it's going to be fine. And I was also somebody, let me know on Instagram if you've had this problem also, where when we first started playing, I could not find my disc to save my life. Literally, if it was not in the fairway, I would be like, someone else has to find this, because I cannot find
Yeah.
this disc. But since being out in the field and really watching how the disc flies and those kinds of things, I've low-key also really been able to find my discs so much easier, which, I mean, I guess it's a side effect. I
Yeah.
haven't, so that's really nice. But yeah, that's what I would say is my number one tip for kind of getting over that plateau.
Cool. I think we should end this on, end of the year, and we'll see what you guys think. We'll put a question out there, see what you guys think. But I think we should end this with the ace round questions, just for each other,
And
and
then
see
see how it
we'll
differs next year.
we'll see what our answers are, and then but maybe we'll see what the listeners say. But I like these ace round questions. But New Year, maybe we could change one up in there. See
Okay.
something else people want to hear from the guests.
Yeah, send us
But
send us your proposals for a new ace runner question.
yeah. All right. So first question: you're taking a buddy to play, and it's probably something you did with me.
Yep.
What is the one putter, one mitt you'd tell them to get? They just started playing.
Well, putter, you got to get the crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I'm having my dilemmas with the crown right now, I think it's just because I suck at putting. But yeah, you got to go crown. Crown, West Side Crown. It's very good. It's very neutral. I think that neutral putters are very important for beginners.
Yeah.
It's a 3-speed. You can throw it off the tee and you can putt with it. So yeah, very good. Mid range, I'll tell you to go with either the Origin from Discmania or the Malta from Discraft. If you want something a little overstable, and which surprisingly I am turning that disc over like there's no tomorrow, and then the Origin's really good. It's pretty neutral. So if you want something neutral, Origin's really good. If you want something overstable, so you know what it's going to do every time, the Malta is also very good. And then driver, I'm going to tell you to start with a fairway driver, and I'm going to tell you to start with the let's go with the Stag by Westside Discs. I think it's an 8-speed. It's a pretty neutral disc, so I think you can have a little bit of success with it. Maybe something else I'd say is the Maverick, just because it's a little bit more understable than the Stag, and I think that understability is going to be a little bit better in the beginning. Definitely don't start with a distance driver. That's a mistake. That is a mistake. At least in my opinion. I agree with kind of what some of the pros have said, where you should work your way up. I definitely do agree with that. Horatio, what would you say?
All right, one putter, one midway driver. Putter, I would say, as long as it's not overstable, like you said, just pick any putter that feels comfortable in your hand. Maybe something that is usually putters. I don't know why, but I like lighter colors, like a white or something. But yeah, just something that feels good in your hand, the shape of it, because it's gonna be mostly on feel. When you're standing there, going to make a putt, it's gonna be, does this feel comfortable? You'll see people on Pro Tour, standing there moving their putt around, trying to get like the perfect in their hand where it's like sitting perfectly before they make that putt, because they want to feel comfortable. So it definitely needs to be one that you can hold and feel confident in. So I throw Warden. I'm pretty sure we said the Crown is basically a Warden with a bead. So I think those are both pretty neutral. I
I
know a
lost
lot of
my
people.
Warden in Omaha. That was
Yeah.
tough. I threw it into someone's yard and just I could barely not reach it, and I said, "Well, there it goes."
Yeah. And then a mid, I would say a Mako 3, a Soul. That's a good one for beginners also. But yeah, Mako 3. That's a really good disc, really straight flyer, and you'll get some distance with it too. Once you improve, you get more arm speed and able to throw farther. You can drive with the Mako 3. It's really good for tunnel shots, wooded courses. That's a really good disc. I would say in the Star Plastic. Um, that's like the top for Innova, I believe. But I like the feel of the Star Plastic. And then driver, you went fairway. And I would agree with, you know, don't start off with high speed disc stuff you can't throw right away. But people want, new players especially, everybody wants a driver, and you'll eventually work your way up to it. And if you do it correctly, you'll see the difference from when you started throwing the driver, and then once you improve how you can actually throw it. And then so that's why I would say a Hades. And the new ones, the first runs, I don't think you could get them in different weights or the prototypes either, but the new ones you can
No,
get them in pretty
you
much any
can.
way.
You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got them in different weights.
But I would say get a Hades in a 167 to 169 or 170 to 172, a little bit of lighter weight, um, and then because yeah, that's a disc that even if you're brand new and as long as you're throwing it not super just high into the air, you will be right off the bat getting 200 250 feet if you're throwing that disc correctly, especially if it's like a 169. It's really forgiving. It's going to want to go. It does a really good kind of like a flex shot if you throw it correctly. It's going to want to fade and then it always comes back, not too much, but you'll be able to get a lot of distance with that disc right off the back, I think. And then once you get better, once you've been playing for a long time, and if you figure that disc out, you'll be getting a lot of distance with that disc, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with that disc. I know I have one that's really beat in, and it just goes to the right. Once it starts hanging to the right, it'll just carry and go to the right. So for some holes, that's really useful. Um, and then I have another one that's not as beat in, and it just kind of carries to the right and then fades back. But those are my farthest flying discs. I started playing those when I was fairly new, and I was getting them really far, so that's why I would say that. But that's all I got. Question number one. Question number two: favorite course you played and the favorite course you would like to play.
The number one that I think we've played, I'm gonna say Jones West in Emporia. I really like that course. I thought it was a really fun course. It was the course that I had the most success at in a tournament so far. So yeah, I really liked it. There's a course in Omaha that I cannot remember the name of for the life of me. If anyone's in Omaha and you know what course I'm talking about, it was really nice. That's all I can tell you. It was by like a baseball field complex, I want to say, and yeah, it was really nice. It was a really, really nice little course. There was like one hole that was like, I want to say like 170 feet maybe, but like there's a massive ravine in the middle of the hole, probably like 50 to 70 feet out. So like, and there was some tree branches also. So if you hit a branch, your disc was definitely gone. So that was kind of concerning, but yeah, it was actually a really fun little course. And then when I want to play, I would like I said earlier in the show, I want to play the DDO. I'd really like to play that Emporia Country Club. So yeah, that's I guess what I would go with. What would you say, Horatio?
Favorite course? I would say I also don't remember the name of it, but it was just outside of Hot Springs, Arkansas. But it was a super nice, and it was kind of like in the mountains, really wooded, really beautiful course. It was, I guess, us, we're from Kansas, so there's a lot of just flat. We have some slightly wooded courses here and there, and some like the ones in Emporia are really nice, but they're just open courses kind of. So this one was the first really nice, like in the mountains, wooded, like really cool course. So that was my favorite I've played so far. And then when I would really love to play, I liked watching the coverage of it and seeing people play with Smuggler's Notch up in the Pacific Northwest. I don't remember if it was Oregon or Washington, but it just looked beautiful. And yeah, I'd love to play that one. All right, number 3. One tip you would give to yourself who just started playing disc golf. I don't know if we kind of already did this, but
I would say we kind of already covered that
yeah,
with our plateau thing. Um, Putting for you, and then making sure you really love field work and wanting to do field work for me. I really think that those uh, kind of slide in pretty easy right there.
yeah. Okay, that works. All right, number 4. Favorite memory playing disc golf.
I would probably say not to be all, like weird, but I'd probably say getting you guys into it would be my favorite memory so far. I really think that it has brought us all closer together. Obviously it created this, so that's really awesome. But yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite memory. Building those relationships and just, being able to play a lot more and just kind of growing the sport. I'd say that's probably my favorite memory.
Yeah. And I would say same, but just like with other people.
Yeah.
There's something really cool about taking something you love and enjoy, and then people just kind of look at you crazy, like, why do you talk about this so much? Why do you, constantly just talking about disc golf or going out to play all the time? And then you introduce those people to it, you take them out to the course, and they like immediately fall in love with it, and they continue to go and play, and then they get new friends, and they take out to play, or they like, hey, I'm gonna go out and play, and it's cool. Like once someone that you've introduced to it later on, hitting you up like, hey, let's go play. So I would say same, just introducing new people
Yeah.
to it, making more people understand why we're not so crazy.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. All right, number 5, goal moving forward in disc golf.
I would just continue to kind of say what it was earlier, placing top 5 in tournaments, maybe finding a score that I want to hit, and doing that I think is kind of the goal moving forward. But along with that consistency, I'm okay if I don't finish top 5 if I hit that score I wanted to do, and if I'm consistently doing what I want, learning my bag, hitting putts I should, those kinds of things. Like building that overall consistency, I think is my goal moving forward. What about yours?
I think personally, I think just how much I've seen myself improve this year and where I've gotten. I would say I would like to be, at least by the end of the year, be playing an advanced one, and competing there. Because I mean, you can sign up for tournaments and play in advance and play trash and not really mean anything. But I would like to say I would want my game to be consistent enough to where I can be in advanced and be competing. I think because that's just the level of playing there. I think it's very, very good for where I want myself to be at, just for my standards and expectations. For as much as I'm playing, I play a lot for fun, just with buddies going out. But I play a lot because I want to get better. It's something I want to improve in. And the only way is to push yourself. So wanting to be in that advanced level is kind of where I would want to be at by next year. So
yeah, for sure. Well, guys, hopefully you did appreciate this episode. Hopefully you did like this episode. A little bit of a different one. Hopefully we'll be having an interview next episode in 2021. We really appreciate all the support we've had so far in 2020. It's only been, like 4 or 5 months or something like that. So that's really awesome. We really do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us a platform. We do appreciate you, and looking forward to 2021. Looking forward to continuing to grow in the sport with you guys as well. And yeah, I really think that's going to wrap up today's episode, and we'll see you guys next year. Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers, and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.